Well, welcome to another bulb log garden diary walk. I'm starting in one of the bulb houses, and it's a beautiful sunny day, and for the first time, we've had a number of sunny days, but for the first time today it's actually warm. There's not that cool breeze off the sea. So I'm in looking at some of the wee narcissus to show you. This is one of the more recently planted beds, not the dense planting of the first bed where it's a mass jungle. And here the sand looks a bit rough. If I come round, I'll just go down here and show you that I just watered it the other day, and that's what the sand looks like when it's just watered. So once the water is dried, what I'll do is I'll go over it with this little point, and there's also a little rake at the other end, and just roughen the sand so that it doesn't form a cap. But I'll come back and do that later. But what I love is when you give these little narcissus room, they grow so short and compact. These beautiful little plants, getting much more like they might appear in a habitat. Some of the earlier ones that flowered over there are taller because they were growing when there was less light. But these little ones that have come up just very recently into the better light are staying so short. Little white one there with two yellow ones, and these are the lovely Eualbidus type. So there's lots more to come in here, but I won't spend too much time in here. I want to go out and look in the garden. Let's come down here. Here's an interesting crocus hybrid that occurred. This is a pot of fritillaria that they're growing in. They self-seeded in here, and it's a cross between the Crocus, the form Crocus savitzi, the deep yellow, and Crocus velucensis, the purple. So it's one of those hybrids. It's a wee bit muddy on the outside, but when it opens and develops, it's quite nice. I've seen better. And there's a little snowdrop. This is fairy tale. It's a popular form, so the 6 segments are all exactly the same size. But we'll just go around the early beds, going over. Still got cyclamen comb down here. I'll go around here, just get rid of that pigeon. I don't want these town pigeons. Go away. They're not very scared, are they? I don't think they feel threatened by me at all. Down here the Coronalis are coming out. The Malkensis always the first. But there's other seedlings down there. There's pinks and purples that will come away. Here's a nice little compact pink Coronalis solida. But the first of the Erythroniums are out, the dense canis. This dark form is always one of the first to come into flower of the dense canis. Of course, Erythronium caucasicum, the first of the caucasicum flowers, the white one, opened some weeks ago. But this is the first of the pink ones coming. And this dark form with the lovely dark leaves, it flowers some 3 weeks to a month ahead of some of the paler forms. So around here there's various hepaticas just coming through. They go very well with the Coronalis and the Hepatica transylvanica, running out over the edge of the bed. It's come all the way to the edge. So I will take cuttings from that and grow a few extra plants and move it further back in. So as we just wander around to some of the other parts of the cobble bed, most of what's in there is gone over at the moment, although there'll be more to come. There's more little narcissus and that will come out in a bit. If we move round to, as we go past the trough area, Primula marginata suddenly sprung into flower, and this Saxifraga oppositifolia hybrid, also a nice beautiful plant in flower. It can look quite scraggy for most of the year, especially in the winter. I often think it's dead, but then it explodes into colour like this, and it's just lovely. And I think the pink and the magenta pink and the violet of the primula just go so well together. There's another sax coming into flower there, and across the slab beds, Eranthus Guinea Gold, Narcissus cyclaminius going along. This is a little Arsturiensis. If we come round to we move round here to the Erythronium beds. This bed is a plunge bed of Erythronium plunged in baskets. So most of the growth you see there, all the Coronalis and the Crocus, and there was Iris, Catherine Hodgkins, they all come, they're interlopers if you like, but they make this bed much more interesting and attractive before the Erythroniums come. And here you'll see another of the very dark forms, basket of seedlings. Some of these are very dark. It's an interesting range of seedlings from the garden. So the very dark ones, again with dark, look how dark some of those leaves are. They come well ahead of the other ones, sister seedlings in the same basket. And if I come round here to this little bed with the Hepaticas, and this is the concrete landscape that's now covered in moss. And the Hepaticas, the first ones I planted up to the top, and these down here have self-seeded. Look at this little one that's self-seeded all the way down into the crack. They self-seed in the moss, and there's a really dark seedling coming up through that Coronalis. And again, Coronalis and Solida and the Hepatica nobilis go so well together. It's a lovely little bed, this. I love these little beds. You don't need a big amount of space to get a really interesting bed. And you learn so much about how plants will grow happily together and how the moss is good for so many plants. Coronalis, if I look down here, this is a Coronalis seedling. That single leaf, that's a seedling seeding from one of the many just starting to germinate. And just up here, this is Campanula nitida. And here's a nose of a Mechanopsis that's self-seeded in here. So once the habitat's right, the plants will move around and choose where to go. So a range of Hepatica seedlings. Nice deep pink one. Go with the red. And that's just in this little bed at the side here. So you see, not a big space. You could almost do that in a trough. So we move round this, looking at the bulb bed. You can see over there the Fritillaria imperialis. There's a goodly number with flowers on this year. I hope we don't get those very strong icy winds that we got last year that cut all these things down. It just totally devastated them and knocked them over and burnt their foliage with frost. But we have no control over the weather, so here another wee planting with some more little Hepatica seedlings planted out, different range of different ones. And some of the Crocus that are out enjoying the sunshine as well. And various snowdrops and leucojums. But everywhere I look, there's plants coming up. The hellebores, Coronalis malcensis. There's more Coronalis solida coming there, and there's the Coronalis, and they're allowed to seed around across the quite a shaded area. It's under big rhododendrons and big trees, but a lot of trilliums and erythroniums to come up in here. Having plants growing all over the garden, the same plant creates this lovely harmony and link. So you've got the Coronalis malcensis, we started over there with it, and we move round here, and there it is, it's growing through the rock garden bed here. And then up this bed, the ground cover starting to grow, Dicentra's growing. At the edge there's Coronalis. And the hepaticas here going over because they were in a bit more sun. A pink Coronalis seedling here. There's more pink ones there, and the white of malcensis again. You can see the link. And the link plant at the moment is kind of becoming Coronalis malcensis, as it's in so many of the beds as we encourage it to move around. Do that by scattering its seed, and you just get lovely mixes. The black grass, the Ophiopogon, leucodiums, snowdrops have gone over, but as we look around, there's fritillarias coming through here, and there's another I see another fritillaria stem there, and the leaves of some of the trilliums starting to come up. But all around the edge of the paths there's snowdrops, there's crocus, there's all sorts seeding around, seeding into the paths. Erythroniums, all these erythroniums seeded out into the path. A little group of crocus, a couple of seedlings obviously got going there, different ones. These are just the general cultivars that seed around. Some of them do seed, they don't all seed, but some of those cultivars that you can buy will seed around. And this bed is just so full of colour. This is a interesting little Erythronium dense canis with brown anthers, yellowy brown anthers, which is very unusual. Nearly every the other ones has got violet. This is I'm looking at this and feeling quite sad, because this came from a dear friend in Ukraine. It's from the east of Ukraine, is where the location of this type comes from. And of course we all know what's happening in Ukraine at the moment. My heart goes out to you all. Down here the Guinea golds, and here we've got Erythronium caucasicums. Excuse me. They're popping up there. There's more over there. And again, if raised from seed, they'll come at different times, even though they're all the same species. So there's different times they'll come at, so you can get a longer flowering season. Lots of Narcissus cyclaminius. Pink forms of hepatica. It's just a lovely bed. Full of stuff, and of course there's Ramondas in these troughs at the edge and bleeding in that will flower as we head towards later spring and summer. There's some of the first of the Erythronium tuluminense coming through at the edge here. And if I move round to this bed's just waking up. It's now starting to get some sunshine into it as the sun gets higher in the skies, which is moving the erythroniums. It'll soon just be a sea of erythronium and trillium. So much to look forward to. Come here, there's an interesting snowdrop to show you. This is another of these snowdrops, poculiform. So all the segments are equal. You don't have the three short inners, and the inners are the same length as the outer. And this is a balls. Growing up here in the shade. We've got it in a number of places in the garden now. But in the shade, deep into the shade, the snowdrops come out much later at this end. So they're just coming out. Mostly, a lot of them are Galanthus nivalis. And then the raised wall here's not woken up fully yet, it's just starting to waken. I just see here there's a nice little group of Coronalis smithi seeds around. It's a little seeder, it stays short and it seeds around quite prolifically. You'll see it everywhere, but it's one of those plants, it's never a nuisance. It's got a very short period when it's in growth and it doesn't interfere with anything. There's the leaves of, those are the Crocus banaticus leaves, I can tell by the breadth of them. They're broad. But underneath there's Trillium rivali and Trillium hibbersoni. They're all yet to pop up. Yes, and so I'll go around and find all sorts. Here's another Erythronium caucasicum, the white. And down here, seedlings from previous years. From that plant seeded down. So there's groups of seedlings there, so it'll soon become another year perhaps and we'll get flowers on those, so it'll soon become quite a little colony. You can hear bees. It's even warm enough for the bees. The rhododendron uvarifolium is starting to come out across there. I don't know, you can see the flowers on the deep red, blood red flowers of Rhododendron Thompsoni. But as we move around, we'll just go into the shade. More Narcissus cyclaminius. And there's some of the Trillium rivali. I wonder if that bee's looking for a home in amongst the rocks. Got a whole lot of Trillium rivali seeding down there and seeding down the face of the wall. And I'll come back and we'll look at this when it's in flower, but for a number of years I've been encouraging it and trying to create this cascade of Trillium rivalis and other plants growing down the face of the wall. In the sunshine, catching the sun, a nice lovely clump of Crocus huflianus. And then the shaded part, this is the bit I say it's like walking back through time. Because we're up here, we're 2, 3, maybe even 4 weeks behind where we are in the rest of the garden with flowering. So many of these flowers, same clone, same plants, down in the warmer part of the garden or less cold part of the garden are over, whereas up here they're just coming out. But again, ground cover, trying to cover the ground with plants. I don't like seeing the ground much. So all sorts of plants, there's lots. Erythroniums, the some of the bigger snowdrops in here. So that's about it. I'll probably finish off just about here as we come back into the sunshine. I can see the leaves just starting to show the buds are expanding on the trees, the acers. The leaf canopy will start to come in on the smaller leaved acers, and then the big Crimson King and the bigger leaved trees, they'll leaf out a wee bit later. And then the garden will take on that whole different habitat and atmosphere. And here's just, look at this, a glorious Crocus vernus type albiflorus. This is one of our own seedlings, it really is. Come around here got these beautiful delicate violet lines on absolutely pristine white. A lovely plant. And that's what you'll get if you allow things to seed around. So I'll finish now. You can see the birds coming in to feed. Time for me to go and have a cup of tea. So as we move round, we've almost come around a part of the garden and back to the bulb house with the narcissus that I showed you earlier on. So thanks if you've stayed with me this length of time. I'll see you again in a few weeks when there's something interesting to show you. Bye for now.